Reckless Ben's latest video came out on July 8th, and frankly, it's a mess. Initially, Ben came across as someone who was genuinely principled but utilizes dubious tactics in the name of justice, but after watching his latest video and as more information has come out, I'm starting to have serious concerns about what his motives are. I maintain that it's better to do good things for bad reasons than to not do them at all, which is why I am still rooting for him. But he's making it really difficult. There's a lot of pretty blatant falsehoods throughout the video, and it makes it hard at times to draw a line between a failure to do the due diligence of verifying his information and an intentional attempt to mislead his audience. It's an extremely frustrating watch as Ben is ultimately on the side of justice, yet seems to be actively sabotaging his own case. If you're unfamiliar with the Reckless Ben Bricks and Minifigs saga, the very short version is that a man named Bryan Mansell attempted to sell his father's massive collection of Lego to a Bricks and Minifigs franchise run by a woman named Crystal Gorman. For unrelated reasons, Bricks and Minifigs corporate alleged that Gorman was in violation of their franchise agreement and sent Branton Best to take over the location. Corporate alleges to be unaware of the consignment deal, but security cam footage shows Gorman mentioning it to Best. There's now a massive battle over the remaining product from the consignment deal and an allegation of a lot of money missing. Now at this point you might be wondering, why the hell should I care? And the answer is that in addition to a corporation possibly screwing a family out of life-changing money, there's an insane police corruption scandal with ties to the Mormon church and a YouTuber who has inserted himself into the situation to try to help the Mansells and is seemingly committing his own set of crimes along the way. There's video evidence that suggests Salt Fork PD actively colluded with Josh Johnson, who was going to take over the store alongside Best to help him avoid getting served with legal papers, and many believe it's because of his position in the local Mormon church. But this might not even crack the top 5 of the list when it comes to their most egregious actions. They also pulled Ben and his team over at one point for failing to stop at a stop sign, but the dashcam footage shows very clearly that they came to a full stop. It's all part of what appears to be a very intentional and targeted harassment campaign by the police to intimidate him into leaving the state of Utah and leaving Bricks and Minifigs alone. The last thing we need to address before we can get into Ben's most recent video is the amount of money actually owed to the Mansell family. Ben's largest lie, one that has been front and center in all of his videos, is the claim that there's $200,000 worth of product missing. This has been debunked by several sources, perhaps most notably CoffeeZilla, but doesn't even appear to be a number which the Mansells themselves were pursuing. Now, of course, when I call it a lie, that implies that Ben knowingly is being deceitful instead of just being mistaken. There's a few pieces of evidence that point in this direction, but I will acknowledge the possibility that it wasn't intentional. Until this most recent video. In CoffeeZilla's video, he concludes that the Mansells are actually owed about $50,000 to $80,000 between payments that haven't been given by Crystal, as well as unaccounted for inventory. To be clear, this is still a big deal. A corporation holding tens of thousands of dollars of an individual's property hostage and refusing to release it back to the owner is a major story, especially when you add in the fact that they've allegedly lied to the police by claiming Ben had drugs in his car and that he threatened to burn their building down. So why sensationalize an already sensational story? Ben is ultimately on the side of justice, which is precisely why it's so frustrating to hear him continuously lie and distort actual wrongdoing when the truth is scandalous enough. CoffeeZilla's video came out on June 10th, meaning he spoke with Ben at some point prior to that date. At the end of the video, Ben even acknowledges that it's maybe $20,000 that we should actually be talking about in product that Bricks and Minifigs is responsible for. Yet on July 8th, Ben releases his video in which he's still repeatedly clinging to that $200,000 number. Before we get into this, I must disclaim that I am not a lawyer. I ain't passed the bar, but I know a little bit, and it doesn't seem like Ben can say the same. The video begins with Ben immediately framing the events in a deceptive manner, for some reason trying to convince the audience that he doesn't even know what the charges are that are being brought against him, despite it being publicly available information. I'll play that opening segment for you and then show you my stream coverage.
I'm about to go to court, and I don't even know what I did wrong. Yeah, Bricks and Minifigs is making up tons of lies about me to the police to try to get me thrown in jail so I can't release my documentary about them. But the crazy part is I'm not even allowed to know what they're saying I did.
Actions that maybe don't make sense and that weren't to protect the victims, and there's some things being said about me that are redacted that I don't know about.
And that is reasonable. He's probably right. And this is what people who are good at lying do, right? They blend a little bit of truth with a little bit of lies so that it blurs the line and makes it hard for you to tell what part is real and what part isn't. He knows what he's being charged for. However, he's probably right that things have been illegally redacted.
The state of Utah is claiming that if they tell me what I'm being accused of, then I'll use it for content on my...
Lying. That's a lie. That's a lie. There's a big difference between they're not telling me what I'm being accused of and they're not providing me all of the evidence I need to properly defend myself. Because both of those things are valid. They're not providing you enough evidence to properly defend yourself. But they are telling you what you've been accused of.
And just in case you haven't been following along with this whole Lego story, this is all happening because I stepped in to help a family who got their Lego collection stolen from a company called Bricks and Minifigs. And for the last couple months, this company's been doing whatever they can to get me arrested so they can keep all the Legos for themselves.
This is correct. This is accurate. In addition to those fake claims that I mentioned before, they also made a police report claiming that Ben and his team stole the Legos, which led to Ben getting swatted, essentially, at an Airbnb, right? Like, Bricks and Minifigs is doing some awful shit. Let me be very clear. Now, Ben's greatest sin is that he's making me defend these corporate shitbags.
Saying I had heroin on me.
Right, so this is what we discussed before. This is where Ben has, like, a very real point.
And obviously, they found nothing. But then they got a call saying...
I should also point out that when they, like, if you look at the body cam footage, when they went to search the car for heroin, they had the drug-sniffing dog circle the car like 15 fucking times. They had the drug-sniffing dog just keep circling the car, and eventually, as the officer like tugs on his leash a little bit, the dog finally reacts, and then they're like, "Oh, great, we have probable cause now." It's so shady. It's so blatantly obvious what those cops were doing, and then guess what? They found nothing. If your drug-sniffing dog tells you that there's drugs over there and there's no drugs over there, you don't have a drug-sniffing dog, you just have a dog.
And I got swatted by the entire police department.
Included in the warrant are Legos.
And we all got arrested. But right when I got it...
Also, what he should be pointing out here is that one of the officers, like, attacked Ben when they arrested him. One of the officers, like, grabbed Ben by his arm and, like, shoved him from the back and, like... It looked like he was trying to dislocate his shoulder. Ben claims he did dislocate his shoulder. Like, why aren't we talking about that? That's what's, like, actually important here. The cop was like, "Oh, well, you shouldn't have moved like that." And when you watch the video, Ben just, like, very slowly and calmly walked forward, but he had his phone in his hand, and the officer wanted to stop him from recording, which is why he did that.
If this protective order gets signed, then I'll never be able to find out what he's claiming I did.
I got bad news.
Not true. Not true. Simply not true.
We decided maybe the lawyers are actually more important.
Thank God. Oh, he's finally getting a lawyer. Oh, thank God. Thank God. Maybe you'll stop doing dumb things. He keeps talking to the cops without a lawyer present. He keeps thinking, "Oh, I'm on the side of justice." So he's got this really dumb outlook on life. It's so, like, sheltered almost, where it's like, "Oh, well, I'll just tell the cops that I'm in the right and they'll simply listen." Hey, man, I wish. It'd be nice to live. I have that dream too, man.
The court's inclined to sign this pretrial protective order unless you have an objection to it, Mr. Schneider, and the objection to such an order.
Yes, I think there's a bunch of misunderstandings in this case, and so this person doesn't want to get exposed, so he's making up a lot of lies about me to order to, like, get me arrested before he gets exposed. So that's what this whole thing's about.
But, like, you're supposed to be defending a protective order. What does this have to do with that? He's trying to litigate the entire court case here instead of just talking about the protective order. But why? That's not what... Does he not does he genuinely not understand what's happening here? Okay, so he wants a protective order so that you stay away from him until the trial. Well, I don't even think there should be a trial. Okay? Like, that's not up to you. That's not the question. That's not what we're discussing.
Before I was allowed to show any of the overwhelming evidence I have to support my claims, the judge didn't care about the evidence and signed the protective order anyways.
Yeah, the judge doesn't care about the evidence because you're not talking about the trial. This isn't the trial. This is pre-trial stuff. Like, I don't understand if he genuinely doesn't get that or if he thinks we're dumb enough to just listen to this version of it.
So the court has made it clear they do not want to look at the evidence and they want to protect Josh and Brandon for...
Well, no, they'll look at the evidence when the fucking trial comes. The whole beginning segment was about how he's representing himself. And so that makes me genuinely wonder, does he not grasp what's happening because he doesn't have a lawyer? Or is he lying?
I thought it was in good faith to give them an opportunity to do the right thing first before I make a documentary about this.
Now, note the phrasing of that. Oh, I'm just trying to give them an opportunity to do the right thing. Oh, I'm just a good little guy, right? Keep that in mind. Keep in mind that that's how he's presenting this meeting.
Like $200,000 worth of Legos in your store.
So immediately he's lying, right? Now there's again the question of, does Ben know he's lying? Because that $200,000 number has been debunked. They do still have some of the inventory. They do still have some of the Mansell family's inventory. They don't have $200,000 worth of inventory. So immediately he's just lying.
I just thought it was a nice gesture to give him the opportunity to do the right thing first.
If you guys
See, and I just don't believe that, right? Because you're filming it, you're a YouTuber, Your whole point here is you want to make this documentary. I don't think you want Ammon to give the product back. If Ammon gives the product back, you don't have any content. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't think you want him to give the product back.
So the CEO decided to change his story, and now the story is the Legos used to be in the store, but the previous owner, Crystal, she stole the Legos right before they took over the store.
Back up
We
the
don't
easy way.
have the Lego. Crystal sold the Lego.
The only problem is their security camera footage of the previous owner getting kicked out.
These are ones that he has not been paid his percentage yet.
So again, the fact that we're getting just this cut version of what Ammon's saying here, what Ammon's saying is partially true. It's partially true. Crystal did sell most of the Lego, right? Now, some of it's still in the store, though.
The only problem is their security camera footage of the previous owner getting kicked out.
These are ones that he has not been paid his percentage yet. And if I don't have the tickets, I won't know how much I need to pay him.
That's a business.
So this is where things get a little extra tricky, right? Because Crystal here owes the Mansell family money because she sold some of the product, which is exactly what Ammon is saying. She did sell some of the product. How much she sold versus how much is still in inventory, that's where things are very unclear, right? But this whole footage is proof that, like, even she is saying, yeah, I sold some of it.
And you can see her leave the store with nothing in her hands, proving that the sets were still in the store and the CEO is lying to us right
Well, some of the sets are still in the store. Some of this. Again, he keeps saying, oh, well, you've got $200,000 worth of Lego in there. They don't. They simply don't. And so that's where it's so frustrating. If you could just give us real numbers and like actual... Now, part of why he can't, though, to be completely fair, is because Bricks and Minifigs is not cooperating with giving them an actual inventory sheet. And we're about to get into that, I believe. So, like, there is multiple sides to that. There is a reason why they can't just fully give you exact numbers. But we know that 200,000 is really dishonest, right? What Ben should be saying is, well, there's roughly 50,000, right? I get that he can't give us an exact number, but he can give us a ballpark number that's closer to accurate instead of stating 200K as a fact.
She took Mr. Mansell's Lego, sold it, didn't pay him. She has his money.
Partial truth. Partial truth. See, this is the same thing that Ben does, right? You mix in a little bit of lie with a little bit of truth. But again, we know that it is true that she does owe him money, but what I guess Ben is arguing, or at least should be arguing, is that she doesn't know how much she owes him because you won't tell her.
But
She sold his Lego, she has his money.
To make it easier for you guys to understand the CEO's argument, we're going to demonstrate his argument with a little skit.
Oh, that wasn't a backflip. No.
Oh, are you sure?
You have a misunderstanding of what happened.
Yes, this is the exact argument the CEO is trying to make. Something
What?
we just saw in video. The CEO is saying never happened, which would mean the CEO's lying. And
But that's not what the video shows. The video showed her admit. The video showed her admit that she owes him money. And so what he's saying is she owes him money. Yeah, that's the same thing. So like what argument is Ben trying to make here? So what he's about to say here is really stupid. I want you to pay close attention. Pay close attention to what Ben's about to say here.
which would mean the CEO's lying. And most people would agree that lying is morally wrong.
Right.
However,
Well,
if
depends
you
on the
lie about a
situation.
crime, the way Ammon's lying to me right now, then that's not just morally wrong anymore. That crosses into new territory called illegal.
No, it doesn't. Are you a judge? Are you an officer of the law? Are you conducting an authorized investigation by a law enforcement agency? He's allowed to lie to you. This is so stupid. It's not illegal to lie to a YouTuber. Like, even if it is about a crime. It feels like watching people play a board game, but are just making it up along the way. Right? His whole premise at the start of this video was, oh, they're lying about crimes I'm committing to try to put me in jail. Well, now you're lying about a crime he's committing. Or you're too dumb to know that you're lying, right? I don't know which one it is.
The specific crime is called obstruction. If
Oh,
someone-
really? Oh, great. Go ahead. Go ahead. Obstruction, huh? Obstruction is the intentional act of impeding, influencing, delaying.
if
Sorry,
someone commits this-
that other word is cut off there. Great. Good work, Ben. Or intentionally or misleading, probably is what it says. An investigation or legal proceeding. But like when you think it's an Ben, do you think you're a law enforcement official? It's an investigation, like an official investigation, not some guy on YouTube. You're allowed... It's so dumb. How dumb does he think we are? Obstruction of justice broadly refers to actions by individuals that illegally prevent or influence the outcome of a government proceeding. Great. We're done here. I believe he really does think it applies to him because he's investigating. And that's where it's tricky, right? Is he lying or is he stupid? Maybe both?
We found out last week that all of the police in Utah take obstruction very seriously here. The police arrested my friend Sheldon for obstruction just for locking his phone.
Right now, you're
To be very clear, what the police did here was horrible and frankly should be more of the focus of the conversation. What his friend tried to do was just lock his phone. And this cop in particular, this guy saw him trying to lock his phone and was like, oh, you're attempting to destroy evidence. That's obstruction. Which, to be fair, attempting to destroy evidence is obstruction. He just wasn't attempting to destroy evidence.
The police didn't even have a warrant, so Sheldon locking his phone was 100% legal. But
That's
the
true.
police arrested him anyways.
Again, that is true. He can lock his phone. He's allowed to do that. This was not a legal arrest. So much of what these cops are doing is not legal.
So now, just imagine how angry the police are gonna be when I go into the police station and tell them that someone is actually, for real this time, committing an obstruction crime.
Now again, is your job to make the police angry or is your job to actually get justice? But either way, he's not committing obstruction. And you're filing a false report if you know that. I don't know if he knows that. If he does know that, if he does actually understand what he's talking about, then he's actively filming himself right now committing another crime, filing a false police report, which is the exact crime that he should be going after Ammon for.
I think he's like falsifying evidence, and I think that's obstruction.
Wait a second. Wait. Sorry, let's go back. That actually would be obstruction. That's not what you've been saying. Hold on. See, now Ben's actually making an argument, but what is his supporting evidence for this argument? He doesn't tell us.
And I think that's obstruction.
And now that we stole Bricks
Unless
and
the falsifying evidence, unless by falsifying evidence, he just means he's lying to me, right? Is that still what he's talking about? Is he still just talking about, oh, well, he's lying to me. His statement was false, right? Is he talking about like doctored inventory lists or something? That would be falsifying evidence. But if the statement is just, oh, well, he lied to me, so that's falsifying evidence, that's not how this works.
On top of that, I even got access to the complete case Ammon made against me, and he doesn't have a single piece of evidence to support any of his claims. Which I guess makes sense. Like, how can you support evidence if you're just making everything up?
Well, what's this video? What's this statement? He zooms in on the evidence and says he doesn't have evidence. Now, the evidence might be bad. The evidence might not be good. But like, oh, he doesn't have a single piece of evidence. Here's his evidence, by the way. What the fuck? What? Ben is ultimately right, but documented and reported to his evidence with very slanted and with straight up lies. Yeah, but this part in particular, it feels like he's showing evidence of his own lie as he's making the lie. What is happening in this segment?
Of course he can't submit anything.
So if the
But he
police
did. Sorry. I'm getting stuck on this part for too long, but I simply don't understand what I'm looking at. If he's saying, oh, there's no evidence, and then he's sending... Oh, well, hold on. Ammon's evidence. 2 witness testimonies, right? And plus there was that video.
decide what case to pursue, they're obviously going to pursue this case because it has like a ton of evidence. And then they're going to throw out Ammon's case. It has no evidence at all.
Oh, there's no evidence at all. We just saw that there was a video that you're omitting from this. Now, I don't know what's in that video. I'd love to see it.
They even admitted to Ammon that there was no credibility with his entire case against me.
We agreed that there really was no extortion code that would fit your situation. However, you know, at the end of the day, we do want to help you guys so you're not having to deal with this fool. And
Now, this is scandalous. This is awful. The cop is actively looking for anything she can find to help Ammon. The cop is actively just like working for him at this point, right? Oh, he's such a fool. And like the bias is egregious. This is where things are really problematic.
did you have to ask him more than once to leave?
Yes.
Okay.
You know, we're not leaving until we get it. And he's like, no. Like,
So did you have to ask him more than once to leave? He says yes. Now, Ben takes issue with this Because Ben's going to show us this footage. They leave after being asked to leave.
They're on their way out. Do you want me to grab them or not?
I don't know. It kind of looks like the reality of what happened is we left too early for them. They wanted to pull us back in to keep talking to us.
They could have very easily gotten you back. That's not what happened. Like, they could have very easily, like, ran out the door and be like, hey, guys, come back. Hang on. They didn't follow you. Unless there's more footage where they do follow you out, but you don't provide that. So I'm going to assume that footage does not exist, because that would be such a huge piece of evidence in your favor. And so the fact that you're not providing it, I'm going to assume it doesn't exist.
But we did show back up a second time.
Well, there you go. Well, there you go.
I'm not threatening. We're right. Like, we have a right to the Legos, so we're gonna get them the easy way or the hard way.
What proof of ownership have you provided to me that you own this Lego?
I mean, I can give you proof if you want.
Right. Provide proof.
So, like, he's admitting he hasn't given him the proof. So it's like, what the fuck do you want him to do?
After he says this, he's now asking us to provide him proof that we actually are entitled to these Legos, so we can't leave now because he just told us to stay and provide proof. And then at the
Why didn't you already provide proof? Like, that alone is so much evidence that you're not actually seeking justice. You're just looking to record this dude. You're just looking to record him, which kind of makes the harassment stuff feel legitimate, doesn't it? You could use a lawyer to contact them, but that wouldn't make for good content.
At this point, I've asked you to leave. Please leave. Well, we you know, like, you have to listen to us. You have to pay us this money. No, guys, you need to leave, and you're not leaving. Like, but I asked multiple times, they did not leave.
Looks like that might be a second-degree felony.
Well, again, so much of the conversation was cut out that I'm trusting Reckless Ben's account that these are the only times he was asked to leave. But I don't know if I should trust it at this point.
He's facing felony charges. It is a felony?
Yes, because I went to...
Now, again, why is the cop so giddy? She's so happy that he might be getting arrested. Why? Does she work for, like, the state of Utah, or does she work for Ammon? What's happening here?
And
Bryan said
he was unwilling to work with us.
Well, Bryan said he asked for the store inventory, and that because he said, like, he wanted to work with you, and then you guys didn't provide the store inventory.
We asked him to provide us with any documentation, and he provided us with a spreadsheet. The spreadsheet is not something that anybody, you can just walk over to a McDonald's right now and say, all of your...
Why are we pumping music in? It almost feels like we're trying to drown him out so you don't pay too much attention to what he's saying.
Ice cream machines belong to me. Why? Because so-and-so said so. Why? And I have a spreadsheet that says that all these ice cream machines belong to me. That's not proof of ownership. That's not proof of anything.
Ammon's argument is, okay, you have a spreadsheet that where you're saying you own it. That's not proof that you own it. Do you have contracts? Do you have, like, this is not proof of anything. This might be accurate, but I can make a spreadsheet that says I own all of your inventory, and it doesn't mean I do, right?
It wasn't just some mystery spreadsheet. It was the actual inventory the store made.
And Coffee showed her inventory sheet had errors. So, like, yeah, Ammon's right to think this isn't a fully credible document. Now, here's something interesting, right? This is Bryan Mansell's post. This is Bryan Mansell's Facebook. Now, all the information that Reckless Ben started with came from Bryan Mansell. Bricks and Minifigs in Kaiser is owned by thieves and liars, and the cops won't do anything about it. They literally stole an 83-year-old Lego collection worth over $100,000. Reckless Ben knew that he was lying about that $200K number. I keep saying it, but this is Reckless Ben's video. He's posting evidence of his own lies in his own video. He's just showing it to us. If he just tells the truth is compelling. The truth has a lot of shady shit from Ammon, a lot of shady shit from Josh Johnson. Like, all these people are doing so much shady shit. And yet you're for some reason lying to make it sound even worse. I get that you sensationalize for entertainment value, but at a certain point, you're just running your credibility into the ground.
At this point, Bricks and Minifigs is working with the police to just come up with whatever story they can to make any evidence I give them seem as uncredible as possible.
And that is what this video should have been about from the start. Why did you bury the lead 35 minutes into the video? That is what the problem is. That's what this video should be about. Yes, that's crazy. They are actively trying to do whatever they can for this man. They are not acting on behalf of the law. They are acting on behalf of an individual. That's a problem. That's a problem. Why is that not the focus of this video?
Just to let you know, we call it a double blind. The person who committed the crime may or may not be in the lineup or depicted. So I will give this to you. You'll have as much time as you need to choose someone or to not choose anyone.
Again, we're just drowning them out for some reason with background music.
Have ID'd somebody. I just ask that you circle it and then initial next to it.
And then, like that?
Perfect.
Okay. There you go.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool.
Really, this was like the final step that I needed. This is legit. We've been able to verify who he is now.
Yep.
So the police put on this big performance to make it look like they're going to all this work to verify the facts.
The police did their normal investigation as they would in every other case. Weird. What are you talking? What is his point here? This is so normal operating procedure. I don't understand what his this part of the video is so confusing. Why did you include this? Yeah, if the trial is going to litigation, yes, he needs to identify the person he's claiming did these things. What is the point of this segment? Is this not like an extremely normal thing? He's trying to make it seem like an orchestrated frame-up job with the police and Bricks and Minifigs in cahoots, which he already has a case for. Right, so why is he misrepresenting this segment to make it seem as if it's part of that case?
To me, this just feels like a staged performance so they can show the world, hey, look, we verified everything, when...
This is part of, like, gathering evidence. What are you talking about? This is so normal. This isn't it's a staged performance. It's body cam footage that you released to the public. They didn't put this out. Like, what is the point you're trying to make here? Oh, look at us, everybody. Look at us. We're going to put this body cam footage nowhere. We're not going to upload this unless we're subpoenaed for it. What's your point? Did they upload this? I mean, that's kind of weird if they uploaded this, I guess, right? Without, like, a court order. That would be a story, but that's not what he's telling us. So I'm assuming you acquired it through subpoena, so what the fuck is your point? Ben also showcased a moment where, while subject to a temporary restraining order, he donned an intentionally unconvincing fake beard and attended a protest in support of himself, as he laments that the restraining order prevents him from being part of the movement. He clearly wants the viewer to believe that he's just filming himself violating the restraining order, but after reading through the actual document, I'm not so sure. The restraining order did have a section specifically regarding online publication, which was the core of Ben's speech restriction, but as long as he remained a certain distance from the plaintiffs and their stores, there doesn't seem to be any applicable restrictions on his ability to march in this protest. This bears some similarity to a moment in a previous video where he claims he fled to Mexico to avoid being arrested, but he appeared in studio on a podcast based in LA during the time frame where he was supposedly in Mexico. This line is ultimately harmless. It's just there to add a little entertainment value, but still, when you are calling yourself a documentary filmmaker, you expect a little more honesty, but again, harmless, just for entertainment value. Now, more recently, Ben was on another podcast where he was non-committal on whether or not he'd pursue litigation against the officers, and my hope is that this is him playing his cards close to his chest, because if he actually cares about justice, there's really only one avenue to get it. Ben makes a fair point about the cost of the taxpayer, but I would argue that Ben could find ways to give any money that he wins from the lawsuit back to the local community to help negate that, and that it's worth it to get corrupt cops out of power, especially considering Ben mentions that he's been told stories of how this corruption extends far beyond just his case. Unfortunately, he then goes on to make excuses for them and lick their boots a little bit, and it's really disappointing to hear.
A lot of stories have been coming out recently of people saying, like, thanks, Ben, for exposing this. Like, the American Fork Police has been harassing me in the exact same way. Like, I got falsely arrested. They're doing all this. Like, I've seen some crazy stories of this police department that have come out, and people just don't film it. You know what I mean? When you do look at some of the unredacted body cam footage, some of it makes a little bit more sense because I didn't know that they were threatening that I was trying to, like, murder people, you know, because Josh is telling them I tried to kill the manager, you know, and I'm trying to bomb their house and stuff. It's like, you have to get rid of this person. He's trying to kill me, you know? And so if I'm a police officer, like, that's like, I don't want to take that chance of someone, like, I might just arrest the person that they're saying that about. I've never really had, like, bad encounters with the police. I've had a lot of police encounters and it's always been good. And I guess I've always just been taught, like, if you show the police respect, they will show you respect, you know? And it's always worked like that for me in my life, except for, pretty much this and I guess, like, maybe a few other videos, but mostly this.
The next question is cut off by back-to-back ads for companies that help you put AI into your business, which is Pretty cringe, but I suppose that's not Ben's fault. It is, however, why I'm not linking the video in the description below, but anyway, the evidence against the cops' misconduct is pretty overwhelming, even if Ben for some reason is willing to downplay it here. I could spend an entire additional video discussing it, and maybe I will if you guys want me to, but if you're not interested in holding law enforcement officials accountable for their blatant corruption and violation of people's rights, I can't be convinced you actually care about justice. One last point I want to make is that you can argue that a lot of his mistakes can be explained by him not knowing the truth at the time of making the video, such as the infamous 200K number, and that the video would feel more honest if he had been able to put it out when he actually made it. I'd argue that's one of the more damning pieces of evidence against Ben. He's had weeks while under the restraining order to fix all of the inaccuracies in the video or run some of it by the lawyers that he now has for fact-checking purposes, but he elected not to. That's not consistent with the behavior of someone who's operating in good faith. I make this video not because I want to see harm befall Ben, but the exact opposite. I want to see Ben win. He needs to stop committing crimes for content and actively misleading his audience if he wants that to happen. I'll leave you with this clip to end this video on a lighter note.
I just want to trim his mustache and like glue it to his eyebrows. You know what I mean? Like it's so irritating looking at his face. I hate this guy. And that's why I'm so mad at Ben. Ben is making me defend this weird fucking freak. I don't want to defend this guy. This guy's a piece of shit. Not because he has no eyebrows. He just happens to have no eyebrows. Can someone who's good at Photoshop take his mustache and put it over his eyes? That seems pretty good. Okay. There you go. I fixed him. It's important for people to understand what Ben did incorrectly so that if they ever end up in a shitty situation like this, they can know what they can actually get in trouble for. The court isn't going to care about fair. They care about the law. Yes.